Welcome to another episode of Off the Menu. I'm Vincent Franchini from Tumblr House, here with the fleeting Charles Coulombe.
Fleeting?
Yeah, because it feels like you just got here a couple days ago, and now you're already headed off back to Europe.
I was home for Christmas. You did count on me, and I was there. Christmas Eve found me where the love light shone. I was home for Christmas, and it wasn't just in my dreams either. Yeah. And I was here for New Year's. Yeah. And the Epiphany. I spent the Christmas holidays here in SoCal, the big nowhere. I snuck off to New York for a few days, got back yesterday. And by the way, I'm proudly wearing in my lapel the state flag of New York, my native state, where I was born.
Very proud.
I am proud. New York proud, you bet. I was a little disturbed about the choice of the Rose Queen this year.
I didn't pay attention to that.
Well, let's just say she was gender challenged.
Really?
Yes. I know. It gets tiresome. And the funny thing is, I felt very deeply about that, even though I'm not what we call a big Tournament of Roses fan. It's as if nothing can be left alone. You know, Betty Crocker has to come out as a UFO abductee. Nothing can be just left. Anyway, beyond that, though, I have resolved in this new year, in this great new year, the midst of a government shutdown, the midst of the Rose Parade being turned into a little bit of a freak show, all that stuff, I am redoubling my dedication to the city, county, state, and nation of my birth, and to the cities, county, and state of my longtime residence.
Okay, there we go. So that's California, New York.
Yeah. And Massachusetts, you can include, because I'll be buried there. So, and to the country as a whole, and not just to the 50 United States, but to their territories, from the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, all the way across this great globe of ours, to Guam and the Northern Marianas. And to show you even more, I'll even throw in the Philippines and Liberia.
Why? Why Liberia again?
It was founded by the United States. It was an American colony, kind of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the stars and stripes forever.
Well, I'm remembering one questioner who says, or someone who submitted a comment who says that, perhaps the point of the show is to hate America.
Columbia, the gem of the ocean. There are many flags in many lands. There are flags of every hue. But there is no flag, however grand, like our own red, white, and blue.
You're just making fun.
I am not making fun. I'm deeply sincere. I love Irving Berlin. I love the Great American Songbook. I love Norman Rockwell. I love the Great American Bar Book. We invented the cocktail, you know.
Really?
Yes. The Broadway musical, Vaudeville. We did that. I mean, there's a lot to like. The American holidays. I mean, heavens, man. We just come out of the American Christmas, which, I mean, being in New York, you talk about Christmas lingering. It hangs on in New York City. They don't like giving it up.
What do you mean, like the big tree?
And the decorations and so on. They just keep going. And I mean, the tree in Rockefeller Center.
Yeah.
The displays and Macy's and the other great department stores. The chestnut salesman.
Maybe they're celebrating the Epiphany.
Well, could be. And we're still in the act of the Epiphany, just so you'll know. So, I mean, and it's Christmas really until Candlemas. So, gosh, yes, I was revitalized. And, that's not all. Went to Sleepy Hollow while I was there.
Wow.
Yes, we retraced Ichabod Crane's, hoof steps. And we went, in the car, we were going like, cloppity, cloppity, clop.
Yeah,
clop.
just like, right.
Yeah. And then, as we went from Irving's house, which was the site of the Van Tassel farm, we're riding along, and then we passed the Major Andre Monument, the site where he was captured. But in Ichabod Crane's day, there was the tree, right? With me?
The tree?
Yeah, the Major Andre tree.
Oh, okay.
And then eventually it died, but it was replaced by the monument. So, if you know the story, he's riding along. There's the tree. He's frightened. Keeps riding, and all of a sudden he hears another set of hoofprints behind him. Cloppity, cloppity, clop, clop, clop. And then what happens, ladies and gentlemen? He turns and he sees the Headless Horseman. So he runs for the bridge, or rather his horse does. He's on top. Cloppity, cloppity, clop, clop, clop. But the Headless Horseman's fast behind him. Cloppity, clop, clop, clop. He gets across the bridge. He thinks he's safe, but the Headless Horseman rears up, throws a pumpkin at him, bam, hits him in the head.
And?
Well, we don't know.
That's it.
Well, not exactly, because in the morning, the horse comes home. The pumpkin is lying there, but there's no sign of Ichabod Crane. Now, some people said he was so ashamed of what had happened, couldn't raise his nose in town again, so he moved elsewhere, and was eventually elected to Congress. But the old Dutch wives of Sleepy Hollow, to this day, are convinced that he was snatched forever from this world by the Headless Horseman. Could be true, I don't know, I wasn't there. That's the heart of Americana for me. The missions are wonderful, 21 missions, the El Camino Real. Chicago, that center of industry. New Orleans and Louisiana, the plantation country in the Deep South. The beautiful fishing villages in New England. That's this nation of ours, this great, grand, glorious country of ours. How could you not love it?
That's true. It's a pretty picture you paint.
Beats there a man with soul so dead, who hath not to himself once said, "This is my own, my native land."
Pretty good.
Got you there, pal. So for those who have said that terrible thing, the point of the show is to hate your country. No. So there.
Okay.
I feel patriotic.
Good, as you should.
And I would remind my watchers to do several things. One, go for the American Heritage website. That great magazine, Back from the Dead, American Heritage. It's great stuff. You'll love it. Go to it. Also, despite the showdown, the National Park System's wonderful website is up. A lot of stuff about American history and natural things. But there are others. I mean, there's the National Forests website, National Seashores, National Wildlife Refuges. You're looking extremely bored with all that stuff. But it's important that you remember that as an American, you have a right to all this good stuff.
I'd rather visit a park rather than a park's website, to be honest.
Well, yeah, but if you're stuck in LA and you don't have the money to go to Yellowstone.
I go to Angeles National Park. I don't need...
It's a national forest.
Or national forest.
Got you there.
I go prospecting up there.
Well, and you should. There's another great website called, I think it's called Find Your Park, Know Your Park. It's got links to all the state parks across this great land of ours. And your county parks and all that. And let's not forget historic preservation. There's actually a historic preservation directory. Yes, that's what it is, online. That will take you to all of the preservation societies, the local historical societies, in this whole nation of ours. But there's all kinds of material online for you to explore where you are. Because patriotism, ladies and gentlemen, begins literally at home. Localism, where you are. Have you seen the Shop Local Saturday thing?
Yes.
I think it's a great idea.
Especially if you're a distributist.
No, there's that. The slow food movement, how about that for you?
Yeah, you've talked about that before. That's what is that? That's like organic stuff and grow your own food?
No, it's not necessarily. Although if you can, that's great. But it's using real ingredients rather than getting everything boxed and condensed for them.
Real ingredients. So like
Well, so like you wouldn't make spaghetti sauce out of a can. You would go to the trouble of boiling the tomatoes and
I see.
actually make like your great grandmother did back in Bari.
What do you do for pasta? I mean, you have to grow the wheat. You have to get the wheat.
Well, no, but you can make. There is flour available, and there are pasta making machines. You can do it at home.
I see. Okay.
So now you know.
That was one of my favorite segments when you talked about getting involved locally.
No.
But it's one of the hardest messages because that involves actually doing stuff. And I liked one of your points where it's like, we don't know who our mayors are.
No.
We don't know definitely don't know who our councilmen are.
Nope. And you need to do that, ladies and gentlemen.
Because we all assume that it's all playing out in the big stage, the big game. It's all centralized, And the only thing that matters right now is the wall. By golly.
No. What matters is your Chamber of Commerce, your Historical Society, your tourist office, the National Register of Historic Places, sites in your town, your parks and recreation. That's what counts. And that, follow that stuff. One of the biggest things I'm going to miss going back to Austria next week?
What?
I'm going to miss Chinese New Year, which is celebrated not just in downtown LA at Chinatown, though they do a good job of it, but also in San Gabriel, Montebello, and Temple City, and Arcadia here too. But not as much in Arcadia, but the others. And not only will I miss that, but in the autumn I'm going to miss the Autumn Moon Festival. They give out the cakes and all that.
Do you think Chinese people are offended if you wish them Happy New Year on January 1st?
Not at all.
Isn't that insensitive, though?
Only if you're an idiot. If you're not an idiot, it's fine. But mind you, I make it a point of wishing them Happy New Year both times. I think we've got the Year of the Moron coming up. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But no, seriously, the Year of the Moron's not really in Chinese astrology. That's made up by other scholars.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, enough of this falderall. I've waved the flag sufficiently.
Okay, this episode is just an old-fashioned episode. It's been a while since we've done this. Just a random and arbitrary collection of questions selected by me. That's how it goes.
And answered by me if I can. If I can't, well, you're out of luck. Both you and he. And, by the way, before we get underway, I bring tidings from everybody here. You don't realize this, but since you moved up to the penthouse, the secretarial pool, the maintenance guys, security, all the rest of your underlings think you lost touch with them. And they see in me, when I'm here, a sort of emissary to you.
Well, that's, I guess that's natural, right? I mean, honestly, you know what I think that is? I think that's just jealousy. I think that's, I think that's sort of like the communist impulse. That's like Steinbeck influence right there. You can't have someone above me?
What are you talking about? One of the secretaries said, from each according to his abilities, to each according to his needs.
I can definitely
and you call her a communist. I told her my problem with that is that I have lots and lots of needs and very few abilities.
Oh, man.
Anyway, let's see what we got.
First question is from Don from Florida.
Well, hello, Don from Florida.
What is the history of the Sanfedismo, their spiritual leader Cardinal Ruffo, and their battle with the Parthenopaean Republic?
Wow. Well, this has direct relevance to you, Mr. Vincent Franchini, Mr. Vincenzo Franchini.
Okay.
Because your ancestors, I happen to know this, ladies and gentlemen, your ancestors were from Napoli and Bari, both of which were in the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, where the Sanfedismo played itself out. And basically, the Sanfedismo was a Southern Italian Vendée.
Ooh.
It was the Sanfedismo becomes some holy faith. And Cardinal Ruffo was the churchman who rallied these Neapolitan peasants and so forth to defend the rights both of the Catholic Church and of the Bourbon King of the Two Sicilies.
Well, around what's the time? What's
1797 to 1799.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So.
And Cardinal Ruffo was their leader, as I said.
Okay.
All right.
That's their history?
Well, I mean, they fought until they were defeated. That's also the history. And as was typical of the period, reprisals were taken. There would be a replay in the post 1864 period when Garibaldi conquered the Two Sicilies, and that rebellion was called the Brigantaggio, the brigandage. But most of the Sanfedisti went into that.
What was the authority that was sort of turning them into the Italian Vendée? What?
Oh, the French. Well, the Parthenopean Republic was a French puppet state set up on the territory of the Two Sicilies.
Oh.
Or Naples, anyway.
Okay, so I see. Interesting. Okay, next question is from John. I'm looking to study in Austria next school year.
Yay!
I know there is an FSSP parish in the city I'm looking at. Do you know how strong the Catholic culture is in the traditional parishes? I hear the Catholics in Europe aren't as into it as Catholics in America are.
One hears many things. I myself go to the very parish you're speaking of every Sunday. The Paulanerkirche.
Really?
Yeah, the Paulanerkirche. Wow. They have a 5 o'clock Mass, which is very, very well attended and a very good place. But Austria is filled with the faith in comparison to us. I mean, it's gone downhill since Vatican II, like everything else. But everyone still wishes each other Grüß Gott. There are images of the Virgin and the crucifix all over the place. It's still very Catholic.
What did you say?
Grüß Gott.
What is that?
Greek God.
They wish each other Greek God?
Greek God, not Greek God.
Okay.
So Apollo.
Greek God.
Greek God. Grüß Gott.
I don't understand it. I don't understand. Greek God.
Greet him. Season's greetings.
Oh,
Greek.
okay. Okay. But I don't... Okay, that's weird. I don't know what that means. Greek God.
Yeah, I mean, they're hailing God as a part of hailing you. In other words, he's not left out.
So the literal translation is "Hello God" in their greeting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
No.
Okay. So Europe is basically the same as America in terms of the traditional faith.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that certainly. I mean, look. It's like here in America, you can't get like a dog catcher unless you've got some sort of personal religion.
Yeah.
In Europe, you're expected to participate. If you're a politician, you're expected to participate in local processions or whatever. But they would think you were crazy if you talked about your personal belief. It's strange. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Structures of power and all that. Yeah.
So, what else we got?
Okay. Next question is from Robert. Could Charles give his opinion on Jacques Maritain? I find very contradicting opinions of him, some calling him the most beloved philosopher of Paul VI, and hence being responsible in part for making modernism enter the scene after Vatican II, while some call him a very conservative Thomist.
Both are true. He was wilder when he was younger. To really understand him, you want to read his last book first. The Peasant of the Garonne, that came out in 1972, which is basically where he was at the end of his life.
Yeah.
Now, he had some, for want of a better word, I'd say some dangerous ideas, but for the most part, he got over them. And that's why it's important to read The Peasant of the Garonne as a corrective on everything else he wrote.
Okay. Next two questions are from Jay Voiles. Who is the greatest Catholic filmmaker?
Greatest Catholic filmmaker. In America, I guess you would say.
We don't need to limit it to America, but I mean,
Alfred Hitchcock.
ooh, that's a good one. Okay, yeah, that'll do it.
It was a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant filmmaker.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, that was easy. I was expecting someone a little bit more obscure on that one for some reason. I didn't know. Was he practicing?
Yeah.
Wow. I saw a nasty. Oh gosh, they did a nasty sort of a biographical piece, I guess, of his life and how he sort of used women. I forgot who some of the blonde beauties are that he sort of.
Tippi Hedren, supposedly.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, she did.
The
Is it, The
Birds?
Birds? Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah. Was that? You think that was true?
I don't know. I know Tippi, and I've never discussed it with her, so I don't know.
You guys are buds?
I wouldn't say we're buds. I've always enjoyed meeting her every time I've seen her.
Wow. Must be nice.
It's not my fault. You lived here as long as I have.
You're from Hollywood, buddy. I'm from the burbs.
Well, that's for sure. You know what I find best about the song "Hooray for Hollywood"?
What?
There's a line in it that always makes me feel good about myself. Hooray for Hollywood, where you're fantastic if you're even good. But at any rate, I would say, to answer the question, Hitchcock tops. Maybe Frank Capra.
What did he do?
It's a Wonderful Life. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, etc.
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Wow. Okay. Huh.
Yeah, that's.
Not Mel Gibson. Wow.
No. Well, I mean, no.
Wow. What a sad day.
When you say great filmmaker,
You've been to the compound.
I have been to the compound.
They welcomed you in.
They did, and mind you, he is a tremendous filmmaker and a very devout and sincere individual, despite his all too ballyhooed lapses. I mean, can you imagine how most of us would appear if we had cameras on us wherever we went?
That's true. It's rough.
Yeah, it is rough.
But they get millions of dollars.
Years ago, and I do mean years ago, the mid 80s, I was having lunch with a couple of friends of mine who will go nameless because they are famous. But they were dating at the time, were very well known. And we were at the Ivy, which is a restaurant on Robertson in West Los Angeles. Then as now, it was a place to be seen. And when I came out of there, I had to leave early, so I came out of the living room, and the paparazzi are milling around, and I said, "Oh, please, everyone, I'm leaving. Please, no photographs, no photographs." Because no one was going to take my photograph. They're all like, "What?" They got crazy. And I was like, "No, please. I'm trying to get over I'm trying to get my head around the whole fame thing, and it's still very hard for me. So please help me out. Not this time." And then I left. They seemed very confused.
That's good.
What else you got?
Next question from Jay Voiles. What are your favorite musicals?
Oh, boy. That's a good question because there's so many of them.
Okay.
So let me see. Brigadoon. Three Little Girls.
I don't know these.
They're old, like me. Well, Thoroughly Modern Millie, of course.
Okay.
Anything Goes, 42nd Street. Broadway Melody of 1934. And actually anything in the Broadway Melody and in the Gold Diggers and in the Broadway Melody series.
Okay. You're just, other than Thoroughly Modern Millie, you have gone so obscure on your selection here. I'm waiting for the big ones.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
No, okay. Well, that's better. That's a step in the right direction.
All right. The Producers.
Good.
Um,
I'm waiting to hear one particular one. That's my favorite, but it's
one particular one. What's your favorite?
My Fair Lady.
Well, yes. All right.
I mean,
definitely.
come on.
Yeah, My Fair Lady. the boyfriend, and
Sound of Music, Von Trapp family, Catholic family.
all right. So, but I got to tell you, I have one caveat about that
Okay, yeah,
musical one,
sure.
and that is when it came out, I saw my dad, and even then, I knew enough geography to know that at the end, the Von Trapps are fleeing into Germany.
Okay, so that, wow, interesting.
Yeah, that kind of annoyed me. And I said, Dad, they're fleeing into Germany. And Dad said, well, that's right, son. They're going to hang out in Wilhelmshaven. They'll never look for them there. That being the port that he was told to report to.
Wow.
So if they were hanging out there, who would look for them?
All right, I'm just going to mention a couple others.
Okay.
Oklahoma.
Yes.
Let's see here. Okay, that's pretty. Oh, Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Oh yeah, anything by George M. Cohan, you bet.
Yeah.
Yankee Doodle Dandy.
That actually might be my favorite, but that's. Yeah.
I'm the kid who caught the candy. I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Yeah, that makes you unto Americana and all that. That is Americana.
No, you're
that
right.
makes your heart. That makes my heart want to burst at the end in terms of pride to be an American right there at the end, where it's like you don't need to serve in the army per se to be a good American. You know what I mean?
This is the army. This is the army's one, but every heart beats true under red, white, and blue, where there's never a boast nor brag. Like that?
Yeah, just like that.
Thumpity, thumpity, thump, thump, thump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thumpity, thump.
Yeah, he had some good hits. Cohan. Okay. Next question is from Graham Gazaway.
Okay.
I was just wondering what are your thoughts on the television show The Young Pope?
No.
And I was wondering if you thought it had any sense of Catholic orthodoxy to it. When I watched it, it was a mixed bag. Of course, it was directed to me, to my knowledge, by a non-Catholic, even though the Pope portrayed had some orthodox elements to him.
Well, I think it's important to bear in mind that it was made by non-Catholics, so in some ways their Pope figure is kind of hollow. He doesn't really have much of an interior life.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest problems.
Well, yeah, but having said that, he's very much a product of his time and place. A lot of the things he does, like, although there's some theological problems with it, his speech to the cardinals is sort of like the Trad's wish fulfillment.
Right, that's the big talking point, really, is that speech to me.
So, I don't know. I mean, it certainly brings up some good points, and also underlies a true problem in the church, which is the generation gap between younger believers and old 60s people, both lay and clerical, and man, woman, and both, and neither.
Yeah.
There's a big gap.
Now, mind you, I think it's important to keep in mind that I think the writers, especially with that speech, I'm mostly interested in that speech, they're not just writing a commentary on, this is the traditional perspective versus liberal perspective. It's not just a commentary on that. The character Pius XIII, he's a product of his childhood.
Yeah, very much.
And his traditionalism is sort of rooted in the fact that he's an orphan.
Yeah.
So he's got this sort of protective type situation, this closed door type approach.
Well, and also bear in mind that his parents
were hippies.
Yeah, and they abandoned him to be free and happy.
Yeah.
So abandoning duty and responsibility in order to be free and happy does not really resonate well with this Pope.
Right. So it's sort of a character study in that sense. It's not just, this is what trads believe, this is what liberals believe, this is a survey of different beliefs. It's a character study.
Yeah, exactly.
But with that being said, I some of the things he said in that speech were really fascinating. I liked. I loved his point where he said, the Catholic Church has been a friend to the whole world.
And what has it gotten us?
What has it gotten us? And he goes on to say, you can't measure love in terms of numbers. You can only measure it in terms of intensity. And he would rather have, just a handful of truly devoted, loving followers, practitioners of the Catholic religion, rather than, millions of half-hearted, lukewarm followers.
Yeah.
And so that was an interesting point right there.
It's very true. And he tackled a lot of problems that make even more sense now than they did in the year and a half, 2 years since he came out. What with Cardinal McCarrick and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He
cleaned up. Yeah, he cleaned up that stuff.
He dealt with those things head on. So I mean, again, there's some things that are wrong with it, some things that are annoying, but by and large, I would not be entirely surprised if, when we get a pope who is no longer tied to 1968, if he is something like that, I would not be surprised. I mean, I don't think he'd be a miracle worker.
It's a funny thing because it's a picture of what you like to say, God writing through straight through crooked lines. See, because Jude Law's a crooked line.
Oh, I'll say.
But he's doing good things.
And he works miracles.
And he works miracles, so it's weird.
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah, so, okay. Next question is from David Hominy.
All right. Hello, David.
Has Sir Charles seen Victoria, and is it anywhere near accurate?
No, I have not.
That's a show?
Yeah, it's a show about Queen Victoria. I have not seen it, so I cannot comment on it.
I thought you were a monarchist.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I see everything having to do with monarchs.
Wow. Okay. All right, next question is from Edward. I'm greatly interested in Catholic chivalry and would like to know what books you recommend as must-reads on the subject.
Catholic chivalry. Well, the first is a tremendous, tremendous book, reprinted recently by Tumbler House, the forward by yours truly, called Chivalry by Léon Gautier. This one here. Now, another series of books that's very fat and big and available online now is called The Broad Stone of Honor by Kenelm Digby. And you might also look at collections of the actual fiction, like what's his name, The Age of Fable, Bullfinch's Age of Fable, in which he deals with both Greek and Norse mythology on the one hand, and medieval legends, including Arthur and Charlemagne, on the other.
We talked about this question before the show. Before the show, you told me your number one pick was Orthodoxy by G.K. Chesterton.
That too.
Next two questions are from Michael Hansinger. When researching European traditions, I found that many deal with bringing yourself good luck, seeing your future in dreams, and other things of that matter. This is accomplished by performing some ritual that doesn't seem to pertain to Christ at all. This at first glance would seem superstitious to someone like me who was raised in a puritanical Masonic culture. However, these customs I read about were from devout Catholic countries with very Catholic cultures. I, for one, find it hard to believe that my co-religionists habitually break the first commandment. What is the truth?
Good question. Firstly, it's important to bear in mind what the Church's attitude toward these sorts of things is. Number one, the Church is dead set against any denial of freedom of will. So any method of trying to foretell the future, divination, whatever it might be, that appears to limit the will is simply wrong.
Yeah.
Your sun is in the ascendant, so there's no way you can do this and such. Well, no. Secondly, a lot depends upon seriousness with which the people involved take it. I know, for instance, all over Central Europe, Austria, Germany, Poland, and so forth, every New Year's Eve they pour lead into hot molten lead into cold water and try to determine the future from the shapes of the lead. They never really take that seriously. It's a little bit like us and the fortune cookies. Now, do you live your life according to fortune cookies?
No.
No. Are you always happy to get them?
I guess, sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well, same. Um, Obviously, in every culture, every time, every place, there are people who are violating the commandments and so forth. But in the areas in which you speak, no.
Did the church ever like officially condemn Freud in sort of the behaviorist determinist type philosophical approach?
Yeah. I mean, they again, to the degree that it denies free will, the church condemns it. You'll find this in modern eras in the syllabus and so on.
Well, I know the church condemns it, but I mean, like, did a pope ever actually formally speak out against Freud and stuff like that?
Good question. And the answer is, I don't know. Might have done. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, Michael's second question. Traditional Catholic YouTuber says it is wicked for young people to go to dances. The dances he refers to are not only the modern, highly sexualized dances, but the dances that are common in traditional Catholic circles like English country and contra dances. He cites many saints like St. John Vianney, St. Francis de Sales, and St. Louis de Montfort, who highly discouraged or forbade dancing. Is he correct? Is the entire art form forbidden to Catholics?
Well, it seems to me you've got to look at a whole lot of different things all at once
Yeah.
to understand this. Firstly, there's the nature of the dances themselves. Some folk dances were terribly lascivious.
Oh, interesting.
Secondly, you have to look at it in terms of their context, like St. John Vianney and so forth, and St. Francis de Sales lived in the aftermath of terrible, terrible societal overthrows and collapses, wherein there were a lot of really very immoral dancing going on.
Yeah, see, that's important because, see, we weren't there, so our image of it is like dances from Jane Austen and stuff. But that's not the entire reality. There's other stuff going on, so it's important to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing, too, is that today we have an absolute surfeit of outlets, for anything we want to do, anything at all. That's why the porn movie theaters have gone down.
Oh, because of the internet and stuff, yeah.
Because you used to have to go out, risk being recognized, pay for your ticket, and also risk entrapment by the police, or some really hellish road trying to pick up on you. I mean, you had all those things going on. That's all gone now because of the internet.
Yeah.
So, similarly in those days, dancing provided the only outlet, in a lot of communities, for the young people.
Yeah, that occurred to me too, that, we have all these other outlets like clubs and all this that promote a hookup culture. If you had that mindset back in the day, I mean, that was kind of your only outlet available to you. So it's sort of not pure, sort of this innocent Jane Austen situation. There's a lot of more ugly, darker things going on.
Yeah. And of course, there's the fact that we tend to sexualize everything anyway.
It's true.
So.
Now, I actually, coincidentally, I had just finished Introduction to Devout Life by St. Francis de Sales. And I came across that dancing thing. And I thought it was ballrooms, actually, which was even more surprising. So I got to admit that it sort of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. But I'm remembering, I heard this on the grapevine. I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that St. Francis de Sales' writings they apply to everybody, but they're specifically written for the religious.
Yes.
Nuns and priests. So keep that in mind too. Dancing for priests and nuns, I guess perhaps they have to be especially careful.
Well,
dancing isn't something they do.
No, it's not something they do. In fact, one of the more touching ceremonies of Catholic life back in the day, especially in Europe, though not just in Europe, was that when a priest would be ordained, he would celebrate his ordination mass with the bishop and his class.
Mm-hmm.
Then he would go back to his hometown and offer his first mass. And after that first Mass, there'd be a big local celebration. There'd be a dance, and he would dance the last dance of his life, which was with his mother. And it's interesting. The other mother ceremony of the priesthood is that when they would have their hands anointed with the oil, so they could give out communion, they were wrapped with a sort of scarf-like thing. That thing would be buried with their mother.
Wow.
Isn't that nice?
That's very touching.
Yeah.
One last thing that is sort of obligatory to mention, looking at all these saints, St. John Vianney, St. Francis de Sales, St. Louis de Montfort, also I'll add to that list, Dom Guéranger from Liturgical Year, from what I read, who also condemned dancing in general. Don't these saints and and Dom Guéranger, they all have something in common, which they're from France. Which begs the question, what was going on in France? I mean, you don't have Italian saints or English saints saying this. You know,
Well,
it makes you wonder.
That's not true.
I'm just asking.
There's lots of Italians who are awful. Just
oh, it comes out.
No. Actually, the reason I think is that, number one, Italian saints had very little spirituality to share, so you didn't read about them. What? Okay.
Wow.
Anyway.
Poor St. Francis. Oh my gosh. St. Francis, St. Anthony, Padre Pio, just, wow. What a sad day.
Yeah, very sad. No, and what it really is, truthfully, also is that the French saints lived at times when not only as the French Revolution or whatever, was society falling to pieces, but there was political unrest, which often used dancing as a tool. Dancing can be very subversive as well as immoral.
It's interesting. Yeah, another thing this reminds me of, it's a little bit of a tangent, but Father Amorth, in his second book, An Exorcist, more tales, or more stories, because he a lot of people refer to him and Father Ripperger of Exorcist for, what's right and wrong. I highly recommend reading both those books, actually. But in the second book, he actually condemns a lot of music, or I think he quotes somebody, and he cites sort of the diabolical influence in modern music. And I remember one of the things, it's the beat, and he says how the beat is designed to sort of mimic and imitate the sexual act. It gets you in a frenzy. And then volume intensity, where it just goes right through. There's very different. There are different things that he says, and sort of like a satanic consecration for various albums and stuff like that. So I definitely, if you guys like referring to exorcists, read those books. Don't just read it on an article. Read their entire book. So you can get a full view on these priests' version of what they're saying about sin. Because a lot of people it's interesting. A lot of people, they get freaked out over sort of proper demonic stuff. Like exorcisms, possessions. They get freaked out about that. But reading and listening to Father Ripperger and Father Amorth, they have a different perspective, which is, there's an absolute connection between just any sort of sin and possession and the demonic.
Which is certainly, strictly speaking, true. The father of lies is the generator of all lies.
Their perspective is each sin, regardless of how much it is, whether it's venial or mortal, the devil gets a greater hold on you.
Yeah, it's true, sadly.
And so it's not just Ouija boards and stuff, it's any sin. And that's sort of one of the important messages I feel that they have. It's not just yoga and Harry Potter. It's any sin is demonic. So yeah, read those books. Available at tumblrhouse.com.
Definitely. All right, what we got?
Right. Our last question today is from Chris Bates.
Chris Bates in beautiful Ithaca, New York.
That's right. Huge fan. Besides Blessed John Scotus, What other spiritual writers do you look to for succor and consolation in these turbulent times? Which ones would you recommend? How are we to survive in your absence without your counsel and dulcet tones?
Oh, dulcet tones. Well, that's why we have reruns. But it's also why we do the occasional live podcast, so you can survive. Golly, what a lot to respond to. I suppose the first thing to bear in mind is that even more than reading, trying to the best of your ability with what you've got, living the liturgy, going to masses, even if there are no really decent ones around you, going to adoration, very, very important. Very important. As far as books go, we mentioned a few of them today.
Your big one's the liturgical year.
Yes. The liturgical year is a guide that will stick with you. Every day of the year, it will give you something to hold on to. And I could also recommend, for those of us, in addition thereto, for those of us who go to the Notional, Magnificat. It was very useful.
Okay.
Now, above all, you've got to try to realize in your life your own personal fidelity. You see, we have no control over the macrocosm. If a pope or a cardinal or a bishop or even a priest does something stupid, jazz hands. We have no control. We don't own the property. Doesn't work for me. I don't pay his bills. I don't pay his salary. So we have to, within the context of an hierarchical church, whose hierarchy are not always sane, we have to do the very, very best we can where we are within the particular spot we find ourselves. And just as Gandalf made the comment to Frodo that Bilbo was intended to find the ring and not by its maker, and that word should bring some comfort. So similarly, ladies and gentlemen, to each of you where you are now, I tell you, you are where you are by virtue of God's will. And you're where you are to do some good for him and for your fellow man. Let that be a source of comfort to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jean-Pierre Cassade, an abandonment to divine providence, is one simple message throughout that spiritual writing in terms of what is holiness. It's resignation. It's abandonment to his holy will at every moment.
Yeah.
Because every moment is foreordained by God for you. So, I try to do that when you get frustrated over people. I sort of, you try to step back and say, okay, this moment was, a cross given by God to me for my salvation.
Yeah.
I resign myself to God's holy will. You got to step back sometimes and sort of gather yourself.
That's all you can do, right?
Okay.
Well, let's see who else we got. All right.
That's it. Now it's book time. We haven't gotten the opportunity, but now it's book time.
Hey, happy days are here again. The skies are okay.
It's happy time.
Oh.
I don't have anything. I'm just going to go through now various books that I've been reading lately, and I've been really enjoying these books. The first book is Way to Inner Peace by Fulton Sheen. This is my sad 50-cent copy from like 60 years ago. This is not the book, the version of the book we have in the store, but Way to Inner Peace by Fulton Sheen. One of the things that I hope for, one of the things that is getting me into the spiritual life is my desire for peace and serenity, to be less angry, to be less restless when you see things,
I feel so angry.
I don't like that about myself, and that is what, so really, honestly, getting a spiritual life, you could do that for purely materialistic and selfish reasons, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that's why people meditate.
the way to holiness, this is so important. The way to holiness is identical to the way of happiness.
Yeah.
You know, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Well, the way to happiness is the way to holiness, but somehow I guess that got lost on our way to the United States.
Well, the proof of the pudding, really, is that we tend to forget that the quest for knowledge should be linked to the quest for holiness.
Yeah. Yes.
You look at the great theologians of the past who were great saints. We have this weird idea that holiness is somehow separate from knowledge, and that you can be a good theologian without attempting to be holy.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah, not Saint. Whoa, jumping the gun. Whoa, he's not going to be a saint. Thomas à Kempis in Imitation of Christ. That's one of the things he talked about is vain knowledge, I guess. But anyhow, way to inner peace. Fulton Sheen. Fulton Sheen. As good as he is at talking, he is, in my opinion, a way better writer. He's a genius writer. We talked about this in our interview with Roger Thomas. He is an unbelievable writer. You guys need to read. I can't wait to read more of his books. I can't wait to read Life of Christ by him because that's a famous book. So his metaphors are incredible, just as potent as St. Francis de Sales' use of metaphors. I'll just use for sake of example. I'll use one of my favorite metaphors from the book, and it is in terms of when it comes to judging other people.
As one does.
And what we're called to do. He says, it's like a piano recital where you've got this guy playing, and he hits all the notes right, except he misses one note. One single note. And Fulton Sheen says this in one simple sentence, but sort of I'm expounding on it, the metaphor, and creating the full image of it.
Yeah.
But, just picture at a recital, the guy misses one note. And you picture everyone talking about that note. Like, that's the talk of the whole thing. Oh, what a tragedy. Oh, my goodness. He should be so embarrassed.
Yeah.
But Sheen says, we're called to recognize the 99% of the notes that he hit correctly. And yet we harp on that one missed note.
Yeah, it's true.
And I thought I'd mention this because this coincides perfectly with your message of don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see?
It's a very difficult thing, especially these days, ladies and gentlemen. We all think we know would be an absolutely perfect solution to our problems. So often so that we tend to forget what there is lying around us in the immediate that could be part of a solution, at least a partial solution.
Yeah.
One of the things that's always kind of driven me a little bit crazy is to hear people say, well, you do this and such, it's only temporary relief.
Yeah.
Temporary relief is better than just unrelenting horror. But
and the other thing that comes to my mind is when there's mudslinging in the traditional Catholic circles.
And lots of it.
Whether it's to this man or whether it's to someone else. I'm not going to name any names, but we all know the mudslinging.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder, you want to ask the person who's throwing the mud, did the person you're attacking do any good?
Yeah.
Like people who've attacked you. We've done episodes on, we've done, what is this? This is number 88, I believe. You've taken questions on everything.
Mm.
And this person is, various people will just demonize you, and it makes me want to ask them, well, did Charles do any good? Are you willing to acknowledge that Charles did it? Because it seems like, no, they don't want to acknowledge that you've done any good. It's all that matters is the wrong note that they think you've hit.
Well, and see, that's why you have to be careful before you attack people, because you might destroy whatever good they are doing. And that would go back onto you. Now, mind you, I certainly don't claim to be perfect. I know Vinny doesn't. The commissary staff do, and I let them get away with that. But seriously, this is a hard time in the life of the church, the life of the world, the life of the nation, the life of the state, life of the county, life of the city. It's a hard time. It behooves us all to seek our own perfection, to deal with the mote in our own eye, the beam rather, in our own eye, with the mote in our neighbor's eye.
Yeah. No, well, this reminds me, I forgot which Marian apparition. It's one of them, but my mom likes to refer to it, where Our Lady says, when the world is old, or grows old, charity will grow cold.
Yep, that's what the Sacred Heart.
And see, again, way to inner peace this book. It's about being humble. It's about being charitable. And the thing about virtue and sin, whether they reinforce each other. Virtue reinforces virtue.
Yep, and
sin reinforces sin. If you're a glutton, you
want more.
You want more in every way. As my favorite Solan Church line, undue partaking of food leads to undue partaking of persons.
True.
So too with virtue. In order to be charitable, we have to be humble. If we are not humble, we cannot be charitable.
No.
You see?
That's true.
And so that, I think when it comes to judging other people, we have to keep that in mind. Also, too, another thing in terms of judging people, we got to be careful how we judge. Because if we're judging a person based on the one bad thing they did and we're discarding everything good they did, then God's going to judge you that way, right? That's pretty scary. Is that how
judge not lest you be judged, so...
That's pretty scary. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to just go ahead and discard all the good you've done, and here's the bad, and you'll be going to hell.
Yeah, let's not do that, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't do that to yourself.
No,
Don't judge someone and earn that punishment for yourself.
Not good. Not good at all.
Okay, so next book, I don't have it on me, unfortunately. I think it's lost somewhere in the deep depths of the Tumbler House vaults.
Oh, the recesses.
The recesses, yes. But The Binding Force of Tradition by Father Ripperger. I was sort of binging on his videos, and I thought, you know what? We have his books. I'm going to start reading them. And Binding Force of Tradition, it talks about a very mysterious, a topic that's been always very mysterious, which is the ordinary magisterium and the rule of faith. And Father Ripperger, I think his defining quality, he's so scholarly. He's got so many footnotes. It's all hashed out very well. And he's very knowledgeable. He's incredibly knowledgeable. So I do recommend it. The one concept that I wanted to bring up, very important, he talks about the concept of notional assent. And he writes, notional assent is an intellectual judgment that a particular proposition is true, but in the practical living of a person's life, it is not followed. Now keep that in the back of your mind as we go to this next book. Next book, Manual for Eucharistic Adoration.
Oh.
I got this as a Christmas gift, and I've been using it. I love it. It's by, the Poor Clares of Perpetual Adoration. It's, I believe, Mother Angelica's order. Published by Tan Books. This is one of the most beautiful books. It's got gold trim, got a bookmark, imitation leather, and I've finished it, but I want to read an excerpt from it and show you some of these beautiful thoughts from this book. When we deepen our personal relationship with Jesus by spending time with him in this way, we will become more like him. Just as old friends or a long-married couple grow more and more similar, we become more aware of the obstacles of sin in our life that stand between us and our Lord. We develop a stronger desire to make habits of virtue and self-sacrifice in imitation of him. Being with the one who, out of infinite love, waits for us in the Blessed Sacrament, we will grow in peace amid the sufferings and trials of this life. We will find rest in the knowledge of his love for us, which is beyond our wildest hopes and dreams. When we truly know that we are loved, we can endure much and accomplish many things in the kingdom. Spending time with Jesus in his sacrament of love will also fill our hearts with abiding joy and bless our days, our jobs, our families, our lives with his protection and grace. Each hour that we give to our Lord bears fruit 100-fold in this life and in the next. As we participate even now in the work of eternity, adoring and praising him with the hymns of thanksgiving, our Creator and Savior, our souls become more brilliant and beautiful as we are penetrated with his grace and love. All right, final line. Listen to this one. The most powerful thing we can do on this earth with our time is to spend it in Eucharistic adoration. Nothing can do more to change the world, to bring about peace, to convert hearts, to make reparation for the many evils committed. Right, so everyone out there listening, what do you think of that? Do you agree? Do you agree with what's being said?
And I'd like to add to that, incidentally, that there's a website, therealpresence.org, I think, therealpresence.com, that has a list of all of the adoration periods throughout the United States and Canada, including the perpetual adoration chapels.
Yeah.
So you see, you get a hold of the book, you'll have a place to use it.
So I'm pretty sure that all our audience was, at least all the Catholic audience, was nodding their heads and saying, "Yeah, this is good. This is beautiful." But you have to be careful. You have to be careful. Be aware. Are you giving notional assent? Are you saying, "Oh, that's true. That's true," but then you don't actually act as if it's true?
Exactly.
This is a point I want, because you harped on this. You got me thinking about this. How real is one's faith? And I have to I have to look at myself, because I want to go to daily mass more consistently. We say these things, it's the most precious treasure, but then we don't act as it.
No.
And here's a measure for myself how real the faith is. Now, if at daily mass they're giving out $100, wow, I wake up for that every time. $100 is $100. That's real. That's value.
And $100 for just going to mass.
And just going to mass, that's easy.
Yeah.
But then for the Eucharist, it's like, well, let me
It's so hard to get up and out of bed.
So that shows me that my faith is not as real as it should. Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. And so I want everyone to look internally in the same manner. I believe that the United States is where it is right now because because our faith isn't real.
No.
The vast majority of Catholics don't actually live their faith. Even if they give lip service and think they believe it, we haven't really structured our life as if God exists.
No, and that's something we have to do. We have to try to reconsecrate ourselves, rededicate ourselves to this faith that we all claim to believe and hold dear.
Yeah.
So, my time has grown short.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the land of the double eagle.
Yeah, well, you're going to be in our prayers. We're all hoping you don't get entrapped by and poisoned by the Austro-fascist propaganda.
Blah blah blah. Yeah.
What?
No, it's okay. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
The structures of power.
Yeah. Clerical fascism.
Without your American freedoms.
Blah blah blah. However, I promise you that I will keep all in mind and I'll pray for you at the shrines I go to already since I've been there. I've been to Maria Lanzendorf, Maria Zell, St. Vitus Cathedral in Prague, and the Shrine of the Infant Jesus of Prague, Our Lady Victorious. The Zagreb Cathedral, bunch of other places. So you will be kept in my prayers, but you have an obligation to keep me in yours. That's how that works.
Okay, when do you think is? I'm sure everybody. We've gotten them on the weekly thing, and they're going to be sad because now we're going back to the once a month thing.
Yeah.
We need to hit that $500 level for the twice a month show. We're about $150 away, around there. So if you want twice a month, go see our Patreon website. Give a couple bucks. So when do you think we're going to do the next show, the live stream?
Oof, that's a good question. I leave here on the 18th of January, the 17th of January, right the 18th. 24th, I'm going to France, and then I'll be back for a while anyway in Austria on the 5th of February. So
okay, so roughly end of January, early February?
Yeah, end of January, early February, sometime like that.
Okay.
And in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, it's been good these past few weeks to be back with you on a regular basis. I hope you've enjoyed them as much as I have. I'm glad we got to celebrate the holidays together.
That was nice.
That was nice. And we got to look at Lord of the Rings together in depth.
Yeah, we had some sentimental time. That the ending of the Christmas / New Year's episode was, everyone was very touched, as was I. As were you.
As was I.
That was a beautiful moment.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, honestly, we're all in this amazing adventure called life together, really. The older I get, the more the phrase that you toss off when you're young, union of prayer. The truer it is, because we all are. We're all each our own particular way, celebrating the same, and not celebrating, living through the same basic difficulties, the same basic temptations and problems. I saw my aunt, who in New York, who babysat me a lot when I was little. Was an extraordinary woman, owned an art gallery and all that. And she's far from out of it, but she's definitely showing the wear and tear of the 96 years she's lived. Still very chic in the way she dresses, still carries herself well, but it's obvious that she won't be with us forever. At 96, you couldn't expect her to be. And she's the last of that generation in my family. And what a generation they were. Some of you may have seen the picture I occasionally put out of she and my mother on the town in New York. They were young ladies.
Right.
The big hats and gloves and all that. I must admit I don't miss that time because I didn't live through it. And Lord knows I prefer the medicines we have today. But I wish we had a touch of that spirit, a touch of that style. And seeing it vanish before my eyes it's difficult. But at the same time, my latest nephew is going to be born in February.
Oh, okay, great.
No, I'm sorry, not nephew, great nephew.
Yeah, I was going to say.
My latest great nephew is about to be born. And so the cycle continues. Every year, you and I are older, closer to being taken off this stage and replaced with new people, as we in turn replace people, and so on, back to the beginning. We have not here an abiding city, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing here is permanent. It may feel that way. You may have lived in this house, say it's your house. You may have lived in this house for 48 years and think this is it. It's not. You won't. You'll be taken out one day, even if it's feet first. You won't be here forever. I won't be here forever. So let's try to pray for one another and be kind to one another, bearing in mind that we all face the same judgment at the end of it. We're all liable for the same sins and the same nonsense. We all suffer from the same things. Look around carefully at the people around you, whether your family or your friends, your workplace partners. They're not going to be around forever. So enjoy them and value them while you can. Same is true of the place you're living in, the country you live in. Things change, so enjoy what you have while you have it. We will not come this way again. So, well, with that, I want to wish you in advance a happy Candlemas, a happy Mardi Gras, and a truly wretched and penitential Lent.
We'll see you next time.
Ciao.